Welcome back to Trading Up, where today I've bought this Honda Civic, to which I believe is the cheapest in the country. Prove me wrong in the comments. If you're new here, I'm Tom Shorrock, and this is a series where I plan to buy and sell cars along with fixing the issues in the aim to end up with a BMW E46 M3.
Nice.
A while back we started with a £200 Ford Focus, which I then sold for £1,600. Nice bit of profit there. We then bought a £1,000 MX-5, which turned out to be a massive lemon. And to make things even worse, I bought another one for £400, which may sound a little bit insane given the track record of this one. But don't worry, before getting too involved, I put it up for sale last week and it sold. 2 days after advertising the MX-5, it actually sold, which I was really impressed with. Now, we advertised it on Facebook Marketplace for £1,250 or nearest offer. I had the usual typical people just taking the mick and being like, I'll give you 400 quid and collect now. Obviously, to which I ignored. And on all of my Facebook adverts, I always put at the bottom in the description, if you send me a message saying, is this available? I simply will not respond. And that is just to cut out the lazy time wasters by simply clicking on message and pressing the first selected word and phrase saying, is this available? Anyway, I had a bit of to and from with a guy. He said he can come and pay cash, which was obviously always nice. However, he turned up and I didn't think he was going to, because on the day of collection, he was a little bit late and I just thought this just isn't going to happen. But it did. I sold the MX-5 for £1,150, which means we made a £750 profit on it, and the only thing I did
Was clean it. That is it. £750 to clean a car and get someone to take it away, which is absolutely mental. Sadly, the guy that has bought it is going to be stripping it for bits. Now, I didn't want to do that because I did think it was salvageable. However, because it's now been sold to somebody else, it's up to them what they do with it. I just didn't have the heart to pull that car to bits and just salvage it off. And because of that £1,150, this is why I ended up with this 2003 Honda Civic Type S. Now, it is a little bit scabby on the outside, but what really sold this car to me
was the fact I woke up one morning and noticed my neighbour Alwyn had a for sale sign on this car. At first, I was a bit sceptical, thinking there's probably some sentimental value and it might attract a silly price tag, but that wasn't the case. Alwyn and his son wanted £500 for the car, but you know me, king of negotiation, I never pay the asking price.
And you'll be glad to know that it has actually only had 2 owners. The person over the road has owned this car for around 19 to 20 years, and it has only done 70,000 miles. Now, it runs, it starts, it drives, it had an MOT last year and passed, but there is a hell of a lot of issues on the outside. We've got just lacquer peel everywhere. This grille's rattling. We have the rear spoiler a little bit bent and not sitting flush with the roof. That obviously needs sorting. The paint on the roof, the lacquer has peeled and it has pitted, but I'm hoping with a little bit of time and effort, we can put some contrast back into this paint and make it pop. Now, that might be a clutch at straws trying to make the paint pop with lacquer peel. So my next option would be to see if we can cheaply respray it. But then the problem I've got with that is I think the ceiling price for this car, once it is all sorted, is around £2,000-ish. And the issues don't stop there.
No, they certainly don't. The front headlight doesn't work, the petrol cap doesn't open without the aid of another person, and we have a dreaded ABS light.
Now, I know you're dying to hear it, so we'll start it up. The clutch has got a little bit of a squeak in the spring, but if we just whack it into neutral, I'm hoping the battery hasn't gone flat while it's been sat on the drive, but 3, 2, 1, that's a good sound. And it started. And if you listen to that's the only other thing I found, the thrust bearing on the clutch, when you let the clutch up, there's a little bit of a noise there, but it does go into gear quite nice. Anyway, let's have a look under the bonnet. Everything is all here underneath. It's running the D-Series engine and it just needs a little bit of a scrub, which brings me on to say I'm like this, whether to just throw it through an MOT and see if there's anything that comes back, or give it my once over first. Now obviously that was a cold start with the battery relatively flat, and the reason it struggled is because the fan heaters were on inside the car. So when I turned them off, obviously it's turned over on the key first time. Not a massive battery on these. It's a 1.6 litre petrol, and yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it. For 400 quid. That's mental. Some people pay that for a night in a hotel. Some people go out on a night out and spend that drinking it and just get a bit giddy with bottles of champagne. So to think you've got a full car for 400 quid absolutely blows me away.
It's literally worth more in bits, but because it's only 2 owners and 70k miles, I can't bring myself to break it for parts just because of some shoddy paintwork. Let's hope the interior is in a better condition.
It's all here, so let's give it a little rev. There is a rev limiter on it, so if I hold my foot, it should bounce at 4,000 revs. It's a shame it's not a Type R, because that would sound absolutely mental. But obviously there's a lot of similarities to the Type R. Obviously the same dashboard, you get the white dial clocks, similar steering wheel. They've always had a strange gear shift position, these Honda Civics. It's like up here on the dash, and if we go through every single gear, not a problem. Stereo works, all the buttons work. It just feels a little bit tatty inside, like the seats could probably do with a really strong wet vac, and it's evident the person that's had this car has probably rested their elbow on the door because it's cracked there. A few little trims that have worn just over time and use, and that's why at first I thought the 70,000 miles was just utter rubbish. I thought this car looks tired. Steering wheel's worn, but that's always been a problem with Honda Civics. Even in the newer Hondas from around 2012, all the steering wheels still seem to wear and they get this like rough effect on them. So that is probably something I'm not going to fix just because of the sheer cost of a new one and just the actual benefit I'll get from it. However, we could be a little bit fancy and get Royal steering wheels to trim it, which isn't OEM, but it would make the car look more presentable. But then again, you have to question things. If I just stick an MOT on this car, I do believe I can sell it for £1,000.
Which isn't a bad idea. We would make roughly a £600 profit for minimal effort, and I love the sound of that. However,
if we spend a little bit more money on it, like sorting the wing mirrors out that are just, need spraying or spraying black or wrapping or doing something with them. If you got a cheap respray on this car with just a very light rub down and just a spray over the top, with the people I know, I could probably get that done for around £1,000 as a favour. But then, is it worth investing £1,000 to potentially sell the car for £2,000 to only make 600 quid? The way I'm probably looking at this car at the minute is if we spend £100 to £200 on it and we could sell it for say £1,200, £1,300, there's a little bit more of a margin in it and there's a hell of a lot less effort involved. And that brings me on to say, let me know what you would do in the comments. But as far as the interior goes, everything's here. Cigarette lighter's there. I'm not going to press it in case it flattens the battery. Anything in the glove box? No goodies. We do have some tinted windows, and the best bit is, come and take a look at the stickers at the back. You get a free Bon Jovi sticker, which means an extra 5 horsepower, obviously, and then the one below, which absolutely loses all credibility of having a red EP3 Civic Type S, is this one down here. Can you see it? Yeah. It says, "I'm as lucky as can be because the world's best staffy belongs to me." Yeah, I've got a feeling that might have been a present from a parent and they've stuck it on the car to maybe please the kids, but that'll be going. All this should be getting made better, and if we just lift, oh, it's got wet in the face. If we lift the boot, everything's there, and oh, there's the other half of the wiper blade, because it currently doesn't have, it's split. So we'll just place that back on there for now. Yeah. Now, it comes with 2 keys, but there is something I want to check, and I'll be totally honest. When I went to the neighbour's house to look at this car, I didn't dip the oil, I didn't start poking around for holes. The price was just that attractive, and for how much car was there, and especially with the mileage and only having 2 owners, and the fact it was MOT'd every year, I just didn't think it was worth it. But there's one problem with that. There is something that I said in the MX-5 video that I would do when I next go to look at a car. And that was a head gasket test. So I've not done that. We're just gonna dip the oil. Now the engine's been warm, but Should let it settle first. Looks to be a relatively good level. That looks near enough brand new, that dipstick. Just dip that down. I know you should let it settle, but it's always good to see. Little bit on the lower side actually, so it could do with a little bit of oil, but then again it's been moving around the engine, so we'll check it again when it's cold. And there's one thing to check now, is if we just, it's not got a reverse thread on that surely. There we go. The moment of truth. If there is white sludge in here, then we have a problem. Fingers crossed. Oh, look at that. Bone dry, and that is because Honda is one of the most reliable brands ever made, and that is because it's Japanese. So that's good. I'm just trying to look around the engine and see if anything's been changed. It all looks original. Apart from this brake line here, that looks like a newer colour copper, and I do remember looking at the MOT history, there was something about brake line corrosion, so that's good to see that that's been replaced. And that was only a couple of years ago if I remember, so why on earth wouldn't this car get through an MOT? But to make it a little bit easier to look at, I think we'll start by washing it. Yes, I've changed my clothes because obviously I can't get my pink trainers dirty. Now, first thing, snow foam, and my £50 SGS jet wash has let me down because the snow foam bottle doesn't.
Now, before we attempt to polish the paint on the Civic, we need to clean it and get rid of all of its contaminants. Another perk to cleaning this car is that it will help me highlight any further issues, especially in the intricate areas.
And before anyone moans, this car was 400 quid and it's got heavy lacquer peel, so I'm not really bothered about the 2 bucket method. Now, the thing is, this has been stood for that amount of time. This wheel cleaner is just not even touching the brake dust stains on the wheels. So because I'm in between houses at the minute, we've just moved here and I've got a car at my grandparents and I've got my other cars at the barn and I've got another car at my mum's. I need to get all my products together, so I think I might have to nip out and get some iron fallout on this because it's not really touching it. I mean, underneath it doesn't even seem like it's pitted. I mean, it is coming off and they seem to be in quite good condition, these wheels, so hopefully we can clean them up. But yeah, I think we're gonna have to put some iron fallout on that. Oh, slight issue with that. 2-man operation to open it. That's a problem. That's going to be one of those things that's really awkward to sort out and just isn't worth sorting out. I literally had to pull the lever and then the camera lady behind you had to release the catch. I'm just thinking, maybe we can put a magnet on there and put a piece of metal inside and just disable it so you can just press it and it pops. Bit of a bodge, but again, 400 quid, not worth replacing the cable or the thing that releases that. There's something clearly not sending a signal to the catch. Anyway, the reason I've opened this is it's all about the details. It's all about the details, and I know that's wheel cleaner on the paint, but like I say, the lacquer peel is heavy. I don't really care. If we can get rid of the lacquer peel, there's a chance with the 2K paint underneath, we can buff it up and then put a wax on it and it should seal and look shiny again. So I'm not bothered about it getting too dirty or it knackering the paint. Plus, the dirt's sat on here for that long, it could do with being done. Oh, also, let me teach you something. I hate when people do this, and I'm going to do it because it breaks my heart. People go to the petrol station and they just go, and it rubs against the car. Every car has a catch where you can simply hook this on like that and it stops it knackering your paint.
Join us next time to see how we put some of the many issues right on the Civic Type S. But in the meantime, give us a like, give us a follow, and don't forget to subscribe in style.